Greetings and welcome to the Lab4 walkthrough. This lab can be a bit of a challenge because it's our first move into creating our own class with objects. So one of the things to remember is that you will have more than one .cs file for this lab. At a minimum, you'll have two. Now, before you start this file, make sure you read through the assignment and as well as the exercise 3A through D that this is based off of. I will note that I expect most people to get 3A and 3B as well as error exception handling. But moving beyond that into extra parameters can be quite difficult for this one. And I've noted them in order in the assignment. 3C is achievable, and then we get into more challenging pieces. So at a minimum, you'll want to have 3A and 3B as well as exception handling, and then perhaps attempt 3C. If you get that working, then you can move to 3D, but you need 3C working to get 3D. And there are some extra pieces if you'd like to try as well too, or if you think of anything else. Now, one of the first items to note here is that 3A and 3B in the assignment can be done together simply because 3B adds an array of objects. Okay, so we are all going to do an ordering system. What we order is up to us. This example does balloons. Now, this one that I'm showing you meets the 3A, 3B, and exception handling, but does not go beyond that. And I did that for a reason, because this is what I expect most people will end up with closely resembling, not in terms of how it looks, but its functionality. So this asks us to enter, since this is incorporating 3B, it'll be 5 orders, right? And this is from an array, so it's an array of objects. So I'm going to go ahead and start entering some information. Order number, customer name, quantity to order, and we can't change the price. Now, that's one of the extra things if you really want to try it, to allow them to set the price. Right now, the price is all the same. And so then it gives us some output. That's fine. You can do it now, or if you want to wait and output everything later, that's another way to do it. So let me add another order number. I'm going to do this one perfectly correct and then show some of the error catches in a second run. And I can enter, anything I want here, to be honest, and it'll keep going. So that's the second one. Okay. They don't have to be in order ascending, but I'm just doing it that way. Okay, and so it took my 5 orders and said they're placed successfully. Notice it didn't do anything else other than that. There's actually a lot going on the backside because we have a class that we've created separately, and each one of these is an object, and each one of these is assigned to an array, and so on. So that's actually a working version. But there's some other things going on in the background that we didn't trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up another version, the same version of this, just another run, and show you a couple of the things you also have to be aware of. Okay, so here we are on another run. One of the first items that we need to check for is, remember, we cannot have duplicate order numbers. So let me go ahead and enter an order. Okay, so order number 354. All right, so I'm going to do the same one, 354, and I'm going to go ahead and keep. I can enter. Let's say it's a brand new person. I wasn't paying attention, right? But it checked and said, hey, an order number with that already exists, and so that actually wasn't even entered. We still just have one in our array. So only one was populated in the array there. So there's still 4 more to go. So let me add a few more. Okay, so it took that. So some other things, we have some exception handling. So let's say I forget to enter an order number. All right, and it said, hey, that was not the correct format. So I go ahead and enter an order, and customer name, right, quantity to order, yes. Nope, it caught it again, and it starts it over again. So if you really wanted to really increase functionality, you would actually just grab what was wrong, but that is a little bit more difficult, to be honest. So that didn't keep that order there. So basically, customer name doesn't throw an error because we should have perhaps checked for that, right? Because it's an empty string, but in this lab it didn't check, but you could. Quantity, of course, did say, hey, and maybe that should have been a better error message there, because there's different types of exceptions that we can check for. So you'll want to be as specific as possible before you go with your generic exception at the end. So we'll just keep going here. All right, and okay, and so there we have it. There's 2 runs-throughs. This is a little bit of a challenge, so make sure you take your time and build your class appropriately as well. And we'll talk more about it in class.